regarding pick and rolls and stuff, it's just noticeable how loud he is and how quick he is to communicate. You played with obviously like a lot of big men. How do you think he does in terms of kind of communicating what he wants from the bench?
Yeah, I think he's been great this season. I think he was great towards the end of last season. You know, he's a special defensive guy, and if you go sort of down the list of all the great defensive big men, you know, you're essentially the quarterback. You're Peyton Manning out there yelling Omaha, you know, so it's extremely important that he does that. I think he's great. I mean, I played with DeAndre, who was awesome at it. Dwight was awesome at it. You know, everybody talks about KG. You know, I don't know where Joe ranks with those guys, but he's certainly really, really good at it. And it also, like, you know, we always talk as guards, like when we communicate to bigs, like it's always about sort of getting the call early and getting the call loud, because that gives us confidence if we have to change our stance or to push the ball a certain way. If there's any guesswork involved, it makes it awfully tough to guard guys. And so the more demonstrative that a big is, the easier it makes our job. So that's why, you know, I think Joe in a pick and roll is great for us.
You said he's getting better. Do you think like that's why he's getting better, not even like the physical, just recognizing what's going on and getting
Yeah. It's probably a little bit of everything. Meaning, like, I think he's been really good on the ball, even when he's like switched on to guards, or maybe guarded like a 4 that's more of an attacker. And then he's also been more vocal, and I think too, with, you know, as you play in this league, you recognize patterns and you recognize, you know, he sees everything. He's super smart. So, you know, I think it's just some of his experience. He's getting better in all those areas.
Is there a general time that you calendar from your years playing where you're like, some of the things we're seeing, whether it's for an individual player, a team, the rest of the league, like when it starts to become for real? Like, when do you start placing stock and seeing what players, teams, what's going on in the league?
I think Christmas is a good time. It's a good time. I mean, it's usually like, it's not exactly a third, but that's sort of like, you know, it's like start of the season to Christmas to All-Star break, and then post All-Star break to the end of the regular season. I think those are sort of the 3 trimesters of the NBA season. It's not perfect. It's not perfect math. I don't claim to be a mathematician, but that's kind of how I look at it.
It's round math.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything that you say as a teammate to a guy like Dario who's kind of struggling in the early days, or like in your experience, do you want anyone to say anything to you, or just want to work through it?
You know, some days you want someone, some days you want people to just leave you alone. You know, I think I'm always sensitive to that, because like people, you know, it's like, last 4 games I haven't shot the ball well. I'm like, you know, people will tell you to keep shooting, and you're like, well, yeah, no shit, I'm gonna keep shooting. That's not the problem, you know. So sometimes the silent treatment's the best treatment. You know, I've talked to Dario a couple times. Yeah, he'll be fine. I'm not worried about him. You know, I actually said to him the other day, I said, you probably don't even remember this, but you got off to a pretty slow start last year, and then you had, you know, an unbelievable season. So I think there's a law of averages. Sometimes all you need is just one sort of breakthrough game where you have a really efficient, like 9 for 12 shooting night, 5 for 6 from 3, and all of a sudden you remember how that feels like, and you take off from there.
I helped out rookies before your career. Do you notice that Landry picks things up a little bit quicker than some other guys?
Yeah, he picks things up pretty quick. He's observant. He is a worker, and he wants to be good, and he like has no problem like working to be good. So he's a really bright guy. I mean, he's got a really good future in this league.
What type of questions?
We ask each other. I mean, we sit next to each other on the plane, so I requested that. I got him next to me. He tried to sit with I think Demetrius first trip. I was like, no, you're sitting with me. So we ask each other some weird questions, but you know, they sort of run the gauntlet. I mean, everything you can think of, basketball questions and life questions. You know, the thing we've been talking a lot about lately is just like the highs and lows of the league. How one game you can feel like you're on top of the world, and the next game you feel like you're the worst player in the league and you don't even belong. So that's just the nature of the game, and it's the the mental toughness, the ability to bounce back that it allows guys to stick.
Why were you so adamant that he's the next to him?
Well, because TJ's with Dario, and I got out of the card game this year. I'm not playing Blu-ray anymore, so I needed a seatmate, and just I wanted Landry. Seems like a nice guy to talk to.
Thank you, CJ.